Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Box Office Dynasty podcast. How are we doing today, Josh?
Hey, we're feeling pretty good, pretty good. It's
We're
very
pretty
hot
good.
today. I don't know about where
Yeah,
you're at, but
East Coast is hot right now.
yeah.
We have a
And
great episode today. I'm very excited.
I've
Um,
been waiting for this.
we're gonna go through the usual box office numbers. You're gonna actually give your thoughts on White Lotus season three. And then we're gonna talk about Sinners. Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan's Sinners just came out. And we're going to give our thoughts on that. And also Daredevil Born Again Season 1. Talk a little bit about the Fantastic Four trailer that came out. And we have a little bit of Star Wars talk at the end of the episode. So make sure you stick around for all that. It's going to be very exciting. A lot of good stuff to talk about this week. It's awesome, man. I don't even want to give my thoughts yet, but it's awesome.
It's funny, we talk about a lot. So this is episode 4, and I had a friend who has been an avid listener so far, and he recommended an idea that I then started doing, that I make a list on Letterbox keeping track of every
Oh,
movie
yeah.
that we name drop on this podcast. And so I went back through the first 3 episodes. I re-listened through all of them, and I was like tracking in my notes. And you know how many movies we have at least name dropped so far on this podcast through 3 episodes?
So many. Like, so many, dude.
201 through 3 episodes.
I can't even name 200 movies off the top of my head.
And that doesn't even include, like, we talked about Batgirl at one point, and that's not on Letterboxd at all, so like that can't even be included. And that doesn't even include TV shows that we've already talked about. So
yeah.
we really have gotten into a lot of different kinds of movies. And it's funny because I look at this list and it ranges from so many different kinds of films. Like, you got Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca and Dial M for Murder. And then you scroll down and it's like The Cobbler. And you scroll down
The
a little
Cobbler.
more. You scroll down a little more. It's like the Beatles biopics. But then you keep scrolling. You see David Lynch and then Madagascar. Like, it's just such a widespread range of films that we have already alluded to through 3 episodes. And I love that. I think it's a real testament to both our clashing interests, like what we like, and also the things that we both enjoy together. I think it's really funny.
I was going to say, that's why this is a great podcast, because we mention such a diverse, I mean, for film lovers, as a film podcast, we mentioned such a diverse array of film. So if you want to hear us talk about all these movies, from pretentious to stupid to silly to fun to action to comedy, any movie that you think of, we're probably going to mention it or talking about it. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram at Box Office Dynasty. Wherever you're watching this right now, the link tree is definitely in the bio somewhere. So make sure you check that out and check us out. And we're going to talk about, that list is going to explode in the next few weeks.
Okay. I think it'd be really funny if you just name drop a random movie right now so it goes on the list.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Ben Stiller.
It's going on the list now. Already booked and secured.
On the list. It's added to the list.
It's booked its ticket. I'm gonna.
You gotta throw one out. You gotta throw one out.
Let me throw one out. Well, he texted one that he thought would be really funny, so I'm gonna say it just to put it on. Fred the movie on the list. It's been brought up on the podcast, so it's going on the list.
We need John Cena as a guest on the podcast so we can talk about Fred the movie.
Was he in that? I don't even remember.
He's Fred's dad.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
Dude, there's no way it's believable that Fred came from him. Like, there's just no.
It makes perfect sense to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't buy into that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. It's probably
he was on iCarly at one point. Not John Cena, Fred.
John Cena probably was somewhere on iCarly.
I mean, he's invisible, so
we just couldn't see him
anywhere in the background.
he was in every episode.
he
plays Carly.
Star. Yeah. Oh wow. Actually, we were always wondering who is Carly and Spencer's dad, and now we know.
Yeah.
It's John Cena.
What a twist, bro.
All right. Well, we have a lot to get to, so we might as well just dive right into the good stuff, I say. So, of course, we're going to go over our weekly box office numbers from 5 to 1. You guys know the deal. This is from the weekend of April 11th through the 13th. I'm actually going to shout out number 6, and for a very, very specific reason, because it's just become kind of a running joke on this podcast already. You've heard of The Chosen Last Supper Part 1.
No way.
You've heard of The Chosen Last Supper Part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, in 6th place on the box office was The Chosen Last Supper Part 3.
What? They made 3 back-to-back movies?
I saw that and I was like, you have got to be shitting me.
We have to watch these movies.
They're
like,
all
actually probably.
Speaking of the list, they're all on the list now. The Chosen Last Supper Part 1, 2, and 3 on the list.
But we should actually like genuinely have like a Chosen movie marathon night.
Yeah, that was
so funny.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I had to shout that one out. But okay, in 5th place in its first weekend, Drop, making $7.3 million. That one was starring Megan Fahey. She was in The White Lotus season 2, actually. Speaking of The White Lotus, looks pretty good. In 4th place is the film Warfare, the new Alex Garland film, and that came in at $8.3 million, also in its first weekend. 3rd place, also in its first weekend, Rami Malek's new movie, The Amateur. That came in at $14.8 million. Not too bad for a movie that was kind of, so-so, I guess, like, in terms of just marketing and interest.
Yeah.
In 2nd place, this seems to be a bit of the theme of this weekend. Another religious film, not another Chosen film, I promise.
Chosen 4.
Chosen Part 4. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised to find that on this list next weekend.
That'd be
so
perfect.
I'm just keeping my eye out. The King of Kings, $19.3 million. I think that's like an animated religious film. It's got a lot of famous people actually in it, like Oscar Isaac. I think Mark Hamill has a voice in it. Yeah, so it somehow they got a lot of celebrities to be part of that.
It literally looks AI generated, that movie.
I saw in one of its marketing that they were like, this is the highest grossing religious animated film first weekend of all time. And I was like, ESPN stat. Like, that's just, okay.
How many are there?
You're cherry picking. Yeah, it's the highest grossing because it's the first one. And finally, in first place, maintaining its stronghold on that number 1 place in its third full week, third weekend, a Minecraft movie raking in another $78.5 million. That brings its I don't know at the time, but currently Minecraft's worldwide total is $662.5 million. So we talked about $1 billion being possible. I mean, I think it could start to lose steam with Thunderbolts coming up and obviously, some other movies, but it is still trucking along in first place.
And it's not surprising. I'm actually surprised that The Chosen Part 8 isn't on there. Like, that should be number 1.
Where is the Chosen cinematic universe at this point? Yeah. Like, when are we gonna get our Virgin Mary spinoff or something?
Yeah, so we'll have the Chosen cinematic universe, the CCU.
So those are your box office numbers from last weekend, and that'll bring us now into my quick White Lotus season 3 thoughts. So, Jack, you should watch this. Have you seen any of the seasons of White Lotus?
Actually, you're going to hate this, but I've seen one episode of White Lotus, and it was season 3, episode 10, or whatever the finale is, episode 8. I saw that. My girlfriend was watching it at my house, and I was actually editing the podcast while she was watching it, and I looked up at the TV, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was like, when we were in school, one of our roommates was watching Cobra Kai, and I saw, maybe you were also watching it.
No, it wasn't there.
But one of our roommates was watching Cobra Kai, and I used to see all of like the season premieres and finales, and I was like, all right, I basically have seen the show. Like, I saw all the major stuff.
There's not much to see. It's just karate.
Yeah. Hey, I love the Karate Kid was literally on your sports list last week.
Yeah, but there's 6 that's a 2-hour movie. There's like 6 seasons of them doing karate. It's a little much.
Yeah, well, karate is cool.
Okay.
So anyway, The White Lotus season 3, this show, for anyone out there who somehow doesn't know, it's an anthology series from season after season. It takes place at different resorts, all under the White Lotus umbrella. The show was written, created by Mike White, and he basically just takes a cast of celebrities and takes them to somewhere cool. Season 1 was in Hawaii, season 2 was in Italy, and season 3, Thailand. I really liked it. There were some people online who were, at least from what I saw on my feed, who had some issues with the White Lotus season 3, feeling like, well, the structure isn't as foundational, like it's just not as secure. They felt like some of the stories dragged out. There were some storylines I liked more than others. Like, I wanted to really like the Ratcliffe family, but there was, stuff with the dad going on that they kind of just didn't really come back to later in the series. But what's cool about the White Lotus is, so every season is different from the last in terms of location and cast, but they always have a little tie-in to just overarch the story from season to season that keeps the whole show like feeling like one universe and one interesting thing. It's really cool. So like this season, they brought back Natasha Rothwell, who was in season 1 as Belinda. And, I'm not going to get into spoilers here because Jack hasn't seen it, and he could obviously and should see it down the line.
I will eventually.
As for anyone listening who hasn't seen it, and we're keeping this brief, but they bring her back to continue stuff that went down from season 1 to season 2 and now into season 3. And it was really interesting, and I think it was one of the best storylines that they did that season. There was definitely some weird stuff, some weird shit that they did, but I really liked the vibes. And Mike White put it best, that it's a show of world building, and you're either along for the ride or you're not. And I'm along for the ride. It was maybe, I probably liked season 2 more than season 3. Like, I don't know, maybe it was a little weaker, but that doesn't mean it was bad by any stretch of the means.
What's your season ranking?
Probably 2, 1, 3.
So 3 is the worst season so far?
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, maybe, but not by like a lot. I mean, it marginally, like I don't know.
Okay.
I really liked the cast. Walton Goggins.
That's great. The only reason I would see it is because of Walton Goggins.
He's great in it. He has a lot of scenes with Amy Lou Wood. She's really good in the show. She was from Sex Education on Netflix. I was watching that at one point. I don't think I ever went back for the last season, but I did watch a few seasons. It's a really cool cast. Michelle Monaghan is in it. Carrie Coon. Sam Rockwell ends up making an appearance with one of the best monologues that I think I've ever seen. It's so funny, just so well acted. So
I heard about it. Everyone's been hyping it up.
Have you seen the monologue that he did?
No, I'm not like looking out for spoilers because I know I'll watch it eventually. Just because it was on my TV, I watched it.
His monologue isn't really even a spoiler. It's just one of the most like outlandish, crazy things, and he pulls it off so well. And you know what's really funny? So Sam Rockwell originally wasn't going to be in the cast. He is his Leslie Bibb. She's in the show. They're partners. I don't know if they're married, but they're partners. The person that they originally were casting for his role couldn't make it. And that person being Woody Harrelson, actually.
He was on vacation.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson was cast in a vacation show, but then couldn't do it because of scheduling conflicts with his own real vacation.
And that's respectable. It's a family vacation, so good for him.
Yeah, sure. I just think it's hilarious. Sorry, I can't do your vacation show for my real vacation.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was probably a much more peaceful vacation for Woody than if he was at the White Lotus, because shit always goes down at the White Lotus. So they asked Sam Rockwell to come in last second, and he did. He came to Thailand, and he did it, and it was really, really funny. So yeah, and that reminds me of, like, the movie Civil War?
Yeah.
Another Alex Garland film. That was Jesse Plemons. It was the same situation. Someone was supposed to do his role in that movie. They couldn't do it for whatever conflict. So Kirsten Dunst, the lead, was asked by Alex Garland, or she recommended to Garland that she could probably get Jesse to do it, and he came, he did, he was in the one scene. It was one of the best scenes in the whole movie.
Also, Jesse Plemons and Sam Rockwell, they steal scenes. Like they are both so great. Like
and I don't know who was going to play that role before, and obviously Woody Harrelson is a fantastic actor too.
Woody Harrelson was going to play both of them.
Probably.
He was going to be in Civil War.
Yeah, imagine. But obviously, to go with Sam Rockwell and Jesse Plemons, you can't do much worse or much better, I should say. Excuse me. I was gonna say they're pretty good. They're pretty damn good. So if we'll finish this off with a rating, I would still give the White Lotus season 3 like a 7.5 White Lotuses out of 10. I don't know.
The number's fine. The number works.
7.5 out of 10. So it was a pretty entertaining season.
That's cool. That's not like super enticing for me to watch it, but if you hype up like the first 2 seasons a lot.
But yeah, the show as a whole is still really good. The first 2, like I could even give it an 8. Like I could even push it into 8 territory because I thought the second season was like 9.5. Like it was really good. You should check it out. You should check it out.
So what are we reviewing next, Josh?
Well, we'll find out. We're very excited to talk Sinners, and we're both very excited to talk Daredevil. And so we want to give as equal amount of time to both as we can. So we decided the best way to go about it is to flip a coin.
50-50.
50-50.
We couldn't decide which one we wanted to watch discuss first. So
whatever comes up, comes up. So I didn't just get any old coin. I have one of those dollar coins.
Okay.
The old gold, like it's like $1 worth, and it's Martin Van Buren.
Yo, Marty VB?
Yeah, you can't really see it, but it's Martin Van Buren.
He's handsome as hell.
Yeah, man. The only Dutch president, I think, something like that.
Wow, great.
I don't know.
Great.
You're the history guy. So.
The audience is so involved in this.
Anyway,
they're here for Martin Van Buren.
Your one-stop shop for Martin Van Buren content. We got you, folks.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll let you call it, which is going to be heads and which is going to be tails.
Daredevil's going to be heads because devils have heads. And sinners are going to be tails because if you're a sinner, maybe you'll have a tail.
See, I thought you were going to say because devils have horns, but they also have tails.
Oh, wait, devils have tails too. Daredevil's heads, sinners' tails, final decision.
All right, let's hope I don't fuck this up. Tails.
Sinners it is, baby.
Alrighty. Well, who's going to go first then with their thoughts?
I'm just going to do my number first, and then you do your number, all right?
All right, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, so out of 10, we're going to do non-spoilers first for a little bit, and then we'll announce when we're going to do spoilers. Out of 10, I give Sinners a 9.5 out of 10.
I give it a nice, clean 10 Michael B. Jordans out of 10.
10? Wow, there's so many twins.
So many Michael B. Jordans. You get a Michael B. Jordan. You get a Michael B. Jordan.
That's like your dream, is to be surrounded by sweaty, shirtless Michael B. Jordans. Okay, my bad. My bad, bro.
I mean, you know what? It's not a bad dream.
No, I was projecting.
Not a bad. Yeah, I'm sure you are.
It's my dream.
Hell, if I could get a little bit of Michael B. Jordan talent to rub off on me, I would. Let
me just start with, you gave it a clean 10 out of 10. I have a 9.5. There's a couple small reasons why I don't have it as a 10, and I just want to go through the bad, it's not bad, but go through the downsides of the movie, because it's going to take 2 seconds, because we're going to praise the hell out of this movie. So I'm just going to say right now I have a 9.5 out of 10. No spoilers. Haley Steinfeld is not in this movie as much as she's marketed to be, and that lowers it for me. I was really excited to see a lot of Haley Steinfeld, and she wasn't in it as much. She wasn't really in it that much at all, and she was really marketed to be a big part of this movie, which doesn't bring it down a lot, but then combined with the ending is fantastic. But there's one scene, and without spoilers, I don't really know if you're gonna know what I'm talking about. There's a scene at the end when the climax of the final battle, and there's a character who does something like sneakily, but they would have been caught immediately. And like the whole final climax relies on this character doing this thing, and it's very much you have to be in disbelief to you have to be like, okay, there's no way that would have happened.
It's a vampire movie. You already gotta be
no, but
suspending.
I know. But do you know what scene I'm talking about? In the water?
I think so.
In the water with Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does something where I'm in the whole movie. I'm convinced it's great. It's having a good time.
Yeah,
and then
I
at
know
the end,
what you're
I'm
talking about.
I'm like, how did they not see him? How did he not make any noise? How did he do that? I'm like, that's just kind of lazy.
I don't know. I think that kind of stuff happens in like superhero movies all the time. You can make the same exact.
But those movies aren't. That's why those movies are not 10 out of 10.
Proclamation. No, but some of them, I feel like you can. There's an argument for some good movies, good superhero movies, where you can say like, how did that person like get behind them?
But I will critique that because I'm just like that. The whole movie is like very smart about where people are and what they're doing, and I'm like, why did they get so lazy at the end to have this just throwaway scene?
His focus was on the other character.
No, but not him. Everybody else should have seen. And also, they were in the water. You know how much noise you'd make splashing around in the water? And he had to jump down like 10 feet to get there. You know how much noise you make hitting the ground?
That feels like a really minor nitpick to me.
That's why 9.5.
Yeah, but like that to me wouldn't be enough to lower my rating. Like I see your point. I see your point, but it wouldn't be enough to lower. Because I had one nitpick. That I'll get into in the spoiler section.
Okay.
And it was not enough to waver from a 10.
Well, I don't think mine is lowering it because it's in the climax of the movie. Like, this is the most important, or one of the most important parts of the movie, and it just felt a little lazy.
I didn't feel lazy at all. I didn't feel like it was a lazy choice at all. I felt like it was the right choice. And they're all... You have to remember that they're in pain because they're connected. And so I'm assuming that because he gets... Well, we'll get back into it.
We'll get back. So what's your... Oh, you can't even talk about your nitpick?
I'll get to my nitpick, but I'll give my non-spoiler thoughts. This movie has been absolutely beloved and adored and praised all over, and it's so deserved. It's so deserved because it is such a unique take on a vampire story. It is, just incredible work across the board. And I'll start with Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler is, we know that he's talented. We've seen him with some really good movies, Black Panther, Creed. I hear Fruitvale Station's really good. I haven't seen it, but I hear it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
But this was Coogler's opportunity to work outside of that IP restriction for the first time with a big budget for the first time ever. And his unique vision and love for the craft, I think that really bled through into every scene of the film.
This was a beautiful passion project.
For the first of it is the highest rated horror movie ever, like the only horror movie in 35 years of cinema score to get an A.
Wow, really?
Yes.
And there's
been
I'm not surprised.
There's been a lot of great horror movies. This is like one of the movies of the year already. It's living up to the hype.
It might end up being the best movie of the year by the end of the year.
It might, but it's living up to the hype. I think the cast is very well-rounded, phenomenal. And I'll start with Michael B. Jordan. It is challenging to be able to play two roles like that and absolutely knock it out of the park with both. Really just leads the emotional punch of this film. You alluded to Haley Steinfeld. I don't even disagree. She's not in the film as much as you would expect, but she's a supporting role, and I think she plays her part very well. I think
and she's great in it.
She's very, very, very good in this movie. But I want to shout out a couple other people in this cast that aren't as big names as Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. The kid who played Sammy, Miles Katana. I don't know how you say his last name. I think it's Catan. That was his first ever acting role.
He was phenomenal.
And we're going to get into Sammy a little bit here, for sure. And his character, because that was maybe the most fascinating character, and he was the real centerpiece of the film. Like Michael B. Jordan's the lead. Sammy, Miles Catan, that's the real centerpiece. Everything revolves around him.
Yeah, he's what drives the story.
Yes. I also want to shout out Wunmi Musaku, who she's in Loki, isn't she? Yeah, she's in Loki.
Who's she play?
She is, I'm checking, I forget. Oh, she's Hunter B-15. She's like She played Smokes.
Annie?
Yeah, she's Annie in the movie, and in Loki she's like Hunter B-15.
Annie was clutch.
She was one of the best parts of this movie. I need to see her get more love. Yeah. She is a real scream queen, and she absolutely just drove a lot of the narrative herself with just so well. So well. And also Delroy Lindo, who played Slim.
So funny.
Had me cracking up in the theater.
The whole theater laughing.
Absolutely cracking up. Like, this was just a real incredible achievement by the whole ensemble. Like, I mean, I could sit here and I could name drop all of them. They all did great. I just wanted to shout out those two as well. But the writing added a good mixture of suspense and emotional beats and comedy, as we said with Slim, and the music, which music is a huge theme we're going to talk about. But yeah, Ludwig Göransson is one of the best composers working today. He did Oppenheimer. He's doing The Odyssey. He did Black Panther, and he did this movie. And he is Ludwig Göransson, more like Ludwig Göransson. Like, this guy. He is the GOAT. He's so good. And I think
it was incredible. It really was incredible.
He's still so early in his career that I think when all is said and done, we're literally going to be talking about him with the John Williams and Hans Zimmers of the world. I mean, he's probably already getting to that level because he's carving out a name. I don't think it's easy for a film composer to be a widely recognizable household name. And Ludwig Göransson is becoming that. And this movie was really impressive.
The music in this movie it's a horror movie, but it's also a culture movie, which is such a unique combination, and it's pulled off so well. The culture, the history, of course the horror and the themes of that blending together in ways that you would not expect. I didn't even know really what I was getting into when I went to watch this movie. I think the trailers do a really good job of portraying sinners, kind of like just not giving too much away, which is what we all need in trailers, is to not give too much away, because that's been a problem.
Yeah, recently. An effective trailer gets you excited without telling you what's going to happen from beginning to end. And
I could not expect the mix of culture and music and history and horror and vampires, dude. It was just so cool. Something I did want to mention real quick. I don't know how you feel about this, but Michael B. Jordan in this movie plays twins. He plays Smoke and he plays Stack. And first of all, I also heard that this is just a rumor, that Jonathan Majors was probably going to play the brother, and then they last minute decided to do twins. I'm not sure if that's true. Who knows? But what I wanted to say is, usually when actors play twins, it's the same actor playing both characters. I'm kind of taken out of the movie because it's at some points it gets pretty obvious that they're not really standing next to themselves, and they look exactly the same, they talk the same, and I can just and I know in real life that they're the same person, so it kind of takes me out. Michael B. Jordan did such a good job of making these two characters different that at points I was like, I forgot this is the same guy just standing next to like nobody, or standing next to a body double talking to himself. And he's just so good at both characters because there's such a distinction, and I root for both of them, and I love both of them in different ways. Like they each have their own unique personality. What did you think of the differentiation between Smoke and Stack?
I 1,000% agree. And he was able to create unique personalities for each of them that really, it made them feel like more in-depth characters. But also the fact that he was able to really build a relationship between the two, in such a compelling way.
I was convinced.
That you're convinced and you're rooting for these guys. And it's so funny because the movie does poke a little fun at it. Because at the beginning, when they're buying the like old mill from the guy, the KKK guy, they they are like, where he asks them, he's like, "Are you twins?" And he's like, "Nah, we're cousins."
Nah, we're cousins.
Like, and it's comedic, it's funny, and it really like, it's kind of meta because it's like, yeah, you know, they're making, like, within the film, they're joking at, you know, this guy who, you know, I guess like see this white guy in 1932 Mississippi sees two black men, I guess assuming, you know, something based on the color of their skin, but also like the joke just being, oh, we're both Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
But, you know,
we
we're
are
cousins. We're not even twins. So
Man,
like, it's just,
I gotta rewatch
clever.
this movie, bro.
I know. So
need to
do
watch
I.
it.
I want
love
to see it again so bad. And I will also say, I really appreciate, from a horror perspective, I really appreciated that it took its time in the first like 45, 50 minutes of the film. It was a slow burn, but it was very interesting. It wasn't slow burn in a bad way. To really build up our setting, our situation, our characters. So that way, in the second half, when you got that payoff with the suspense, with the action, it was all the more meaningful because we, the audience, were all the more invested in what was going on rather than just jumping right into like blah, like horror. No, it was right, you know, it was build up. Let's really get invested into this world and into this story. And then, you know, when we're really rooting, like you talk about the relationship between Stack and, well, Mary. Her name was Mary.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yes, when you talk, like, that is such a key story element. And even, you know, Smoke. Okay. Before I go any further, I think we should now start to go into spoiler territory.
Well, I just wanted to say something about what you're talking about at the beginning. The beginning of Sinners felt to me like the beginning of Godzilla -1. Like, you get a hint of the vampires, and on Godzilla -1, you get, at the beginning, you get Godzilla, but then like 40 minutes go by with really just character and world building, and you don't really get the vampires. You don't really get Godzilla. You get a little bit of hints, but you don't really get it. But both of those are done so well where you kind of forget. You're so involved and invested in this story that you kind of forget that there's something bigger going on, and you just want to know more about the characters, and you just want to experience you just want to know their experiences. Same thing with Godzilla -1. I forgot I was watching a Godzilla movie, and in this one I forgot I was watching a vampire movie. I was actually invested in everybody else too.
You don't even, like, it's not even really vampires at the beginning. All we really see is Sammy in the church holding the broken guitar with his father, who is the preacher, kind of shaking him and saying, like, drop the guitar, no more dancing with the devil, and him struggling to drop the guitar, and just you see little tiny blips of the night before, but you can't even really catch what was going on.
No, you can't.
I mean, if you didn't come into this knowing that it was a vampire movie, for the first 45, 50 minutes, you'd have no idea. You'd have no idea. They don't really even actually have a vampire beginning. It's just this little like split second blips.
Yeah, that would have been a crazy shock. If I kind of wish I didn't know it was a vampire movie going in.
That was like Abigail.
And that's exactly what I thought when I watched it. I was like, imagine I didn't know this.
Yeah, it'd make the twist so much better if they didn't say that in the trailer.
Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers for Sinners from here on out. I want to know what your nitpick is.
Okay. My nitpick is so small. Probably even smaller than yours.
I want to see if I agree.
At the very end, which so I saw this 2 days ago, Thursday. You saw it yesterday. I texted you last night. All I said was, make sure you stay through the end. Because it's so important. There were people, right when the movie ended, they started getting up and leaving.
Yeah, they left.
They missed one of the most important scenes in the whole movie by getting up and leaving. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, by the time this comes out, there's a mid-credits scene and an end-credits scene. The mid-credits scene's obviously way more important than the end-credits scene, but both, to me, are well worth sticking around for. Especially the mid-credits scene, which is genuinely brings a whole other element to the whole story that is, I think, vital to stick around.
Wait, I might have missed the end-credits scene.
Yeah, there was an end-credits scene.
Like, end credit scene? Like, wait. I missed it. I thought that there was only...
I told you to stay through the end. I said,
yeah, but I thought you meant the mid-credit scene. I didn't know there's two.
When I say stay through the end, it means stay through the whole movie until it's done playing.
You'll have to film it. So what's your nitpick?
My nitpick is that we see Sammy at the end in the church. It bookends from the beginning. And, which, by the way, real quick, speaking of a bookend, did you catch this? The scene when Sammy's in the car with Stack and he wants to drive, and Stack promises him he could drive it back tomorrow. He does technically get to drive the car back the next day.
He's a man of his word.
Like, it's those little details, though, with Ryan Coogler that's just so amazing.
I didn't
anyway,
catch that.
Yeah, it's just a little tiny detail, but it's just, that's what makes it, you know? So I just wanted to shed a little light on that. But my nitpick was we see Sammy at the end in the church trying to decide, do I do what my father says? Do I give up, these devilish ways and follow in the path of church music and the light of God? Or do I do what my heart tells me to do despite what happened and make music? And he's holding the guitar and you see the scratches on his face.
Right.
And then it cuts to the old Sammy many, many decades later, and we see the same scratches on his face. And I remember like kind of being taken aback, like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was shocked.
My one nitpick was that after we already see old Sammy, it cuts to a card that says the location, Chicago, in the year 1992. And I felt it was unnecessary to do that, because I think all we really needed to see was the jump cut from young to old Sammy, because the cuts on the face are the distinct factor that we know is him. Like, we know it's an older version of him years down the line. Like, it just felt like it was super quick in there. It showed Sammy, and then it cut to the title card, and then it cut back to him again, and it just felt a little unnecessary. It is such a minor nitpick. Doesn't take away from the movie in any way.
I disagree. Not taking away. I disagree that it's even a problem, because I don't think the title card is there to show that time has passed and that it's an older Sammy, 1992 or whatever. I think the important part of that is Chicago.
Yeah, but you could show that on one of the posters in the bar there, put it in big letters, and it would
could, but I think you want the whole audience. Yeah, I guess maybe if it said like Chicago bar or wherever he is, like they named
like
something.
I just,
but like you'd have to like feed that to the audience, because you need to know that he ended up where he wanted to go.
Yeah, I mean, but we know I think the idea is that we would know he ended up where he wanted to be by being a musician. It doesn't matter that he's in Chicago itself, per se.
Well, I think to him it does.
Yeah, but there were other ways to show it. I just think doing like the title card after that and then cutting back to the same shot of him, with his face with the scratches, was just like a little awkward to me. But again, that is such a like minor nitpick. That was the only thing I could even really think of with this film. It does not in any way, shape, or form bring the rating down.
What is the end credit scene the one with Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld?
No, that was the mid-credit scene.
Okay, then what's the end credit scene? Oh, you could tell me another time, because we're not doing great on time right now.
Yeah, well,
let's do opinions. What do we think? What do we like? I don't know.
Well, no, I but I want to talk a little bit about that one sequence in the middle, though. I'm not necessarily off of Sinners yet.
Which sequence?
Which is the sequence everyone's talking about, which is Sammy. They're in the juke joint, and it's him playing the music, and it bridges the different music from different generations. And like the house, the roof burns down. That was honestly one of the coolest scenes I have ever seen in any movie ever. When I first saw the hip hop rock guy, for a second, like a split second, I'm like, what's going on?
I thought, I was like, this is dumb.
Then I very quickly realized what he was actually trying to do there. And I very quickly realized that was the most important scene in the entire film, because that was like, music is at the heart of this, and the different types of music, how it bridges cultures, how it bridges generations in time, and how the music can attract good and how the music can attract evil. Because we quite literally see Sammy's music as a manifestation of attracting evil. And it was such an interesting like just viewpoint on music and the way it relates to the different aspects of our life, whether it be faith, whether it be nationality. And so
incredible. Yeah, it was amazing.
Like, not enough filmmakers are being that ambitious in their movies, where they're saying this is a period piece, but we're going to step out of that for a second so that we could really focus on, the larger thematic picture. And I thought that was, it just blew me away.
It's taking us, it took us through time, which is not something I expected from this movie. You see the it's the blues singers and the rock and roll, and then you go back to like the old African griots and like all these different musicians, African American, just these black musicians throughout time. And that's the scene that made me go, yeah, this is a vampire movie, but no, this is a cultural, like, this is an important cultural movie. And obviously you and I, we can't, it's, it's hard to explain from my perspective.
We're not black.
Yeah, we are two very white people.
That's besides the point, because I think Coogler.
But I'm just saying, like, I can't imagine how a black person might view this movie. Like, that's got to be so special. Like, it is, like, I'm viewing this and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, that's incredible, that's special. Like, if a movie where people who look like you, who make music, your people making music, like, that's what the whole thing is. Like, that's got to feel incredible to see something like that on screen. That is one of the greatest scenes of any movie I've ever seen.
Just the visual manifestation of the whole thing, and with the roof burning down, like I said, it just was so different from what you usually get at the movies. It was that point when I realized that I was watching something special, not just a movie. Like, I was already well interested in this movie, but that was the moment where I was like, we're actually in the middle of a classic here. It was just so awesome. And also, another thing with Coogler that was really cool was the different aspect ratio changes. I don't know what format you went to go see this in. I saw it in IMAX. Because Coogler came out with that video explaining the breakdown of the different film strips and aspect ratios and where the different theaters you can see it, what, types. It was such a kind of small but really practically important touch and detail to kind of, go widescreen, go full, and just different moments from like the 143 to the 240 to this to that. It was so, again, he's playing around with these tools on film. The only movie to come out this year on film. The next one is The Odyssey. And he's playing around with all these tools. He's showcasing his talents as a filmmaker, his visions. Not enough people in this industry are doing that, where they're playing around and they're using the literal screen dimensions to tell this story. I loved it. I loved everything about this.
The widescreen of them in the juke joint when the vampires finally get in, and it's all the main characters' backs, and they all grab their weapons after she's like, "Come in, you motherfuckers!"
Oh, that's
she
basically
basically
stick with me.
That Grace basically killed everyone, by the way, and she's burned alive, which was crazy.
But her motive was reasonable.
Her daughter.
Her motives were reasonable. She wasn't thinking clearly. Obviously she wants to get back to her daughter safe and sound. Like, it's a lot of parents would probably have done the same.
I'm surprised with how quick. So this is what was my point. I'm surprised with how quickly Haley Steinfeld died. I like Mary. I'm surprised how quickly she became a vampire. Like, she didn't even get to fight at all, which is not it was not what I expected.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad.
I think that's fair, but her role was it's a supporting role, and her role was to get Stack as a vampire.
They needed someone undercover, and she's the one
to split the brothers. And when she did get screen time, her emotional impact, dealing with her, the passing of her mother and things like that really transpired. And her relationship, think about the setting. It's Mississippi. It's 1932. So the fact that you had a white woman and the relationship with the black community in the South, which would be so rare to come across at that time, I thought was a really unique touch. And also, you mentioned what was her name? Grace.
Grace, yeah.
Grace, and I forget her husband's name, and then Lisa was the daughter. I think history often forgets that there was a bit of an Asian presence in the South in the early 20th century that were forced into these mixed communities with Black Americans. And I feel like Ryan Coogler really did his homework and his research to not only be inclusive and be accurate, but include, like we talked about that music scene, include a bit of Asian culture too.
Yeah, they were dancing.
It was, and you saw the one because the whole through the generations, and there was the one dancer. It was clearly from like a more ancient era in China. Like it was just touch after touch after touch, detail after detail after detail. It was one of the greatest movies I've seen in some time.
We cannot recommend this movie enough. I mean, if you haven't seen Sinners or planning on not seeing it, do yourself a favor, see this movie in theaters, see it in IMAX. Sinners is a generational movie. This movie is iconic. It's important. It's fun. It's crazy. It's smart. It's amazing. Go see Sinners.
It's scary, the horror.
Yeah, you'll get a little. You might piss yourself in the theater.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there's not little children screaming chicken jockey, so that's a plus.
That was the one thing that was missing.
Yeah.
I'll leave Sinners on this note. I hope the April release doesn't hurt its chances in the Oscars. Like Challengers last year got snubbed entirely from the Oscars after being released in April. I don't know that Sinners is going to be the best picture as a horror film.
It's going against the Odyssey too.
No, it's not. That's next year.
Oh, really? I thought the Odyssey comes out. Oh, right. It doesn't come out this year?
No.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, sorry.
Damn. That's kind of sad.
Yeah. Stay alive long enough, we'll get to
I'll try to make it.
But yeah, fingers crossed. But I hope the April release doesn't hurt it, because it really is that deserving of a fair run at the Oscars.
I think this is easily Michael B. Jordan's best performance. I think it's Haley Steinfeld's best performance.
Yep.
And they deserve some love for this movie, and Ryan Coogler deserves all the love for this movie.
Ludwig Göransson, Ryan Coogler, the costume designers, the makeup artists, the set production was great. Everyone who worked on it, shower them with love. They deserve it. Obviously, we can't sit here and list everyone's names, but they all deserve it. It was, as you could tell, we just adored every second of this film.
Daredevil?
Yeah, Daredevil.
Daredevil? We're both going to give our reviews for Daredevil Born Again Season 1 out of 10. Do you want to go first?
Okay. We'll start with our numbers. I'm going to give it 7 Fisk therapy sessions out of 10.
I'm giving Daredevil Born Again Season 1 7.5 showering Matt Murdock's out of 10. That's all I could think of. Literally picturing the show, all I could think of is Matt Murdock in the shower in that one scene.
I was trying to come up with something last second. I had the Michael B. Jordan's one for Sinners all prepared. I didn't have a funny one prepared for Daredevil.
What do you...
Look, I think... I just want to start off by saying we're lucky that we get to see Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio as these characters again.
Yeah, I think we should just go into spoilers.
Yeah, we're just gonna talk the show.
Yeah, so spoilers
if you haven't seen it, spoilers. So you've been warned. Like I said, we're lucky that we've gotten to see these guys come into these roles again. But I think it was very apparent that the show had undergone rewrites and reshoots because it was tonally inconsistent. It was tonally inconsistent.
That's my biggest problem with it.
You have parts that are trying to be a more lighthearted legal show. You have parts that are trying to replicate the Netflix show. And, it just felt like it was easier than they made it out to. It should have been easier than they made it out to be. Because you just bring back the characters we love that we know from the first 3 seasons of Daredevil. I don't get, okay, like we said, we're going into spoilers. You want to kill off Foggy for an emotional push into the next phase of the story. I can buy into it. I can buy into that. Why do you just shove Karen Page to the side until the end of the fucking show?
They did that. The whole show was like this is not the same show. This is a new show, and they kind of marketed it as like a continuation. It's not a continuation. It's a new thing.
Well, because they wanted it to be a new show, and then they realized people wanted a continuation,
Exactly.
and then they did like a hybrid.
It's a mess conglomerate of both of them, and the season is weirdly split up. Like the first, like 2 or 3 episodes is like Matt Murdock dealing with Foggy's death and the White Tiger, and then the next couple episodes are Muse, and then the last couple episodes are like Muse dies in like episode 7, so episodes 8 and 9 are like the Punisher and Bullseye and Kingpin, and it's like a weird, like, why bring the Punisher in for episode 4 and have him not show up until episode 9? Why have Karen show up in episode 4?
Episode 9.
Karen shows up in episode 1 and then doesn't show up till episode 9, and we know she's in season 2. There's confirmed set photos of it. It's just a weird. It was just weird, and I love Daredevil and I liked the show. It was fine, but it was weird.
Yeah, I just feel like, they were like, and the scene in episode 4 between, Matt and Frank is one of the best scenes in the season. But then for him to just be sidelined again and then just be like, oh, the season finale, Frank is here to help. Like, it just felt very MCU-ified. Like, that's what would happen in the MCU. And especially because you only have 9 episodes. I don't remember how many episodes were in each season of the Netflix show.
13.
So 13 in those, you get 9 in this, and you take an entire episode dedicated to a bank heist.
Honestly, that was my favorite episode.
But but it was out of place, and look,
it shouldn't have been there, but I liked it.
I'm not opposed. I'm not even saying it was a bad episode. That was one of the ones that was tonally off from some of the others. You 100%. Can tell it was in the original version, but like, I'm not even like against filler episodes. Certain shows have filler episodes, like the Community episode with the pen, things like that.
Yeah, filler bottle episode.
Filler bottle. I'm fine with all of that. But when you have only 9 episodes and you're using time for a virtually irrelevant bank heist that doesn't really play back into the story all that much, if at all, and instead of focusing on the Punisher or Foggy or Karen or more Kingpin or Muse, or all these other things that you're trying to juggle in this season, White Tiger, all these other things. Why are you wasting a whole episode just so you could say, "Hey, Miss Marvel, hello"?
Yeah.
Like it just felt so unnecessary and a waste of time.
I loved that episode as a standalone episode, but they could not afford to make episode 5 a bottle filler episode when they have the Muse storyline, which only lasted 2 episodes. He immediately dies. What the hell was that? I thought he was going to be like the big bad villain of the show, or then Kingpin maybe season 2 would be the finale. And Bullseye is out after episode 1 and shows up in episode 8. It was just so scattered. And I just don't know why they did it like that.
It just felt like, again, obviously that was a result of rewrites, reshoots, but, you say you're going to do a Daredevil show. When they originally announced it, wasn't it like 22 episodes that they were committing to?
Yeah.
And it ended up being 9.
I know, it's a crazy difference.
You think it should just be a slam dunk. You know what people want out of a Daredevil show. And I feel like, and even in the first episode, how is Fisk just out of jail?
That's the thing. They don't explain anything because it's not a continuation. If it was a continuation, we'd need an explanation.
They sorta, in the last episode, Vanessa's talking to Bullseye and she kind of references something with Ray Nadeem and the FBI investigation as to how Fisk was acquitted. And that's all she says. She doesn't go into detail or anything else. She just says something with Ray Nadeem and the FBI investigation and Wilson Fisk was acquitted. And it's like, what the hell? How does he go from being in jail? And they establish it's like a year, right? Like about a year or so between season 3 and Born Again. So how does he go from being in jail for some pretty heinous crimes to mayor of New York City. Like, it just felt like such a stretch.
No, I think season 3 and Born Again are like 5 or 7 years apart, because they reference in the original series they reference the Avengers. They referenced the Avengers in New York, and that took place like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but that wasn't season 3. That was like earlier in the show when it was Ben Urich.
That was season 1, yeah. But I do want to get into some positives. But before I do that, I need to talk about the Punisher for a second. He's getting his own special. John Bernthal, I think, is actually helping write it. Did he feel out of character to you in the finale?
No, he just was there though.
He felt. I don't know what happened to him in the last couple of years, right? He's in this cave by himself in this little dungeon that he made. I don't know what happened, but since we last saw him versus now, but there was a scene in this episode, that it didn't really change much to me, but it was just as a Punisher fan, as John Bernthal, a Punisher fan, it kind of threw me off a little bit, where he's emptying a clip into a dude, and there are other bad guys around him, and he's emptying the clip, he's screaming at the, like he does. Oh! He's screaming at the top of his lungs. He's emptying the clip. But then he just gets shot by another guy. I just thought that was so dumb, because Frank Castle's usually so smart. I know he's aggressive, but he's so smart. How dumb is he to just empty his entire clip into some guy's face, doesn't need to do it, and turn around and he just gets shot by another guy. He knows those guys are there. And then at the end, he goes and attacks like 40 guys by himself. Like, he's not that dumb. But in this episode, I felt like he was either like way too aggressive or just dumb.
Yeah, I mean,
like, he gets captured. I can't see the Punisher getting captured.
I see your point, but I could see him getting captured because he doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah, but he does escape at the end. We know that.
Yeah, and that whole thing with them down there, like Swordsman is down there and all that. That was weird too. I don't know. I know we'll get into a little bit of positives. I don't know.
We do have positives.
Look, there was some really good action. I love Charlie Cox. I love Vincent D'Onofrio.
They are so fantastic.
I actually really like Michael Gandolfini.
Yeah, he was great.
I thought it was a really interesting touch for him. I thought he did pretty well.
He was a little sinister.
Yeah,
I felt a little sinister.
I have a little more to talk about him in a little bit too, before this episode wraps up. But yeah, no, I liked him, and also I appreciated the one scene where Fisk literally tears the police commissioner's face and head in half, because I did appreciate that the MCU version of Marvel was willing to go there.
Yeah,
I wanted more stuff like that. But I'm glad that they went there. It was gruesome. Probably one of the most gruesome scenes in any MCU movie.
Bare hands.
Just bare hands. Dude. Rips him and goes, does anyone else have any questions?
Crazy.
Like, that went so hard. That was really cool.
I did love, like, this is, I think most people would agree, this is not the original Daredevil supporting cast, but we had some good characters. Like, Michael Gandolfini's character was great. I did like this, the commissioner, actually. I thought BB Urich at the end was doing some pretty cool stuff when she was kind of like...
Yeah, they didn't use her enough.
I don't remember... Heather is his girlfriend. I liked Heather. But I just don't like what they did with Muse. That's my biggest complaint, is that they hyped this guy up to be like the main villain. And in the comics, he does have powers, and actually Daredevil can't sense him. So that's like Daredevil has to work around that. He can't sense this guy because he's like invisible on Daredevil's radar. Maybe Muse will come back in season 2 somehow. Like, someone will take on the mantle, someone who has that power. Matthew Lillard is actually confirmed to be in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again.
Wow, okay.
And maybe he's going to be a Muse copycat or something like that. That could be kind of cool. And
he's
has the power.
He's got it in him.
Lillard as a serial killer, like, we've seen it before. I'm ready to see it again. Who knows? Yeah. He's not. No one knows who he's gonna play. It could be something cool.
It's funny. The guy who played Muse in season 1, Hunter Doohan, he was in a show that I watched recently called Your Honor. On Netflix,
Bryan Cranston,
with
right?
Bryan Cranston. Yeah. He plays Bryan Cranston's son, and
damn, he grew up.
I watched that. I watched that episode of Daredevil the same day that I watched the first episode of The Studio, which has Bryan Cranston in it. And I remember seeing Hunter Doohan in Daredevil Born Again and Bryan Cranston in The Studio. And I was like, wow, it's Michael and Adam Desiato from Your Honor. But just one is a studio head and one is a serial killer.
A psychotic artist serial killer. Well, I think if I don't know if you have anything left to say about Daredevil, but we can move if you're not.
No, I mean, I'm excited for season 2. I hope that, now that they kind of have a foundation, they'll be able to improve upon it. That is the hope, because I love these characters and I'm going to stay with it. My expectations were a little higher for season 1, but
Me too.
It wasn't a total wash by any stretch of the means. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining.
Yeah, I think we're going to get season 2. We're obviously getting Kingpin again. We're getting Daredevil. We're probably going to get some Punisher.
Hopefully
Page.
more Karen Page.
Karen Page confirmed. I think
just
Foggy Nelson is confirmed to be in it, and I'm assuming that's in flashbacks. I think the actor is confirmed to be in the season 2. And maybe some Muse, but, I'm looking forward to it.
Let's talk a little... oh, wait, anything else?
Well, I was going to say... The Fantastic Four trailer just dropped. A new Fantastic Four
Let's talk a little trailer. Fantastic Four.
We got to see Julia Garner's Silver Surfer.
It looks so good.
It looks really good.
So good.
And people need to stop complaining. This is an alternate universe. It's confirmed. Who cares that it's not the original Silver Surfer, Norrin Rad? She's in the comics. I think
I was going to say that Silver Surfer is... it doesn't even really have a gender. Silver Surfer is...
But they're both... That's Silver Surfer's, girlfriend in the comics. Her name is Shara Ball, I think. I don't might be off on that. I think that's what her name is. And
Shara Ball?
It's B-A-L or B-O-L or something like that.
I don't want my balls for myself.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, Shara Ball. Maybe it's not Shara. I don't know. But she's in the comics, so people need to shut up and stop complaining. She looks great. And also, she's from Ozark. Fantastic actress.
Yeah.
She's so good as Ruth.
She won however many Emmys as Ruth in Ozark, which we watched together, and that was just truly. I mean, they botched the ending, but the show as a whole is fantastic,
and she was a standout.
She is probably the best part of the entire show.
100%. So that was the biggest thing of this trailer was her reveal.
And you say, well, it's an alternate universe, and we know it's an alternate universe in the MCU. But if she was the main MCU's Silver Surfer, I would be okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
That's how
because that doesn't mean that Norrin Rad can't show up. They both exist in the comics.
Why not?
Why can't he show up? I know.
Why? There's no reason not to.
Only one of them can be the Herald of Galactus at a time, and I think so. I think that's how it works. And she's this one. Who cares?
But the trailer looked really good. I think Joseph Quinn really won me over.
He's growing on me.
As Johnny Storm in that trailer. I think he's going to do it. Eben Moss-Backrack, who's in The Bear. You know how much I love The Bear. He, I think, is going to be the best take on Ben Grimm.
His fits are so hard in that trailer.
Ever seen. Yeah, the one when he's standing with the suit and tie with the car behind him.
He looks good, man. He looks... And we get to finally see Pedro Pascal use his powers a little bit in this trailer. Did you catch that? He gets a little stretchy. It doesn't look terrible. We only got it
I think it looks pretty good.
4 seconds, not even, but it looks pretty good.
And that's the CGI with the trailer. People always say, why does the CGI look like that? Well, you're not taking into account that when trailers come out, they're still working on the movie. So sometimes it's unfinished CGI. Yeah. This is how good it looks now. Grimm in the water when he's tugging the boat with the
rocks,
water,
dude.
flushing. I saw a tweet online that I agreed with. Water is visual effects artists' best opportunity to prove how talented they are.
I totally agree.
And the water there it looks so good. And for Marvel, who has gotten a lot of criticism, including from both of us in the past, about their CGI because they've been known to kind of rush the visual effects houses, it looks great. It looks great.
They also confirmed in this trailer that Vanessa Kirby's Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, is pregnant, which means we're getting Franklin Richards, who in the comics is one of the most powerful characters of all time. He has reality warping abilities. I don't know if they're going to go that route with
probably not in this movie
with this version, but if we get that eventually, it could be insane. So, and we get more Galactus too. Man, he looks good. I just want to hear him speak.
Yeah, I know. Like the shot we see with the planet, like the explosion.
I know. I just want to hear him talk.
And then at the end with his foot when he's walking. That universe is fucked, by the way. Like they are definitely going to all die.
I think, what do you think about in all the Fantastic Four movies and everything, it's really Mr. Fantastic who's the leader, of course. But I think that in this movie is kind of pushing Sue Storm to be the lead of the movie, which I don't hate. I actually kind of like that.
I mean, lead of the movie is Pedro and Vanessa Kirby.
Right, but I think she is kind of going to be
she might be the leader of the team.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I think so, and I think it works with this like you just kind of are seeing hints of the relationship dynamics between the four of them through the trailer, and I think she seems to be like the glue that holds the team together in this version of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, which I very much like. So overall, I mean, it was just great. I think I'm very excited for this movie. It looks good. What?
I'm sorry, but let me ask you, is there a world where you see yourself liking it more than Superman? Based on all the trailers and stuff that we've seen with Superman and now Fantastic Four, do you see a world where that happens?
I think it's actually, this is the thing. I think it's more than probable. I think it's very probable because I like the Fantastic Four as characters better than Superman, and we've gotten good Superman before, live action. We've never gotten a really good Fantastic Four, and I like them better. I am way more hyped for them than I am Superman. Superman's got a lot more riding on shoulders, but I think Fantastic Four, if they are as good as I'm hoping, they will be better than Superman. It'll be a better movie than Superman. And I think I'm going to love them both. I'm hoping I love them both, but I think there's a chance that I like Fantastic Four more than Superman.
I mean, I'm going to say the same. I'm not saying that, like, where I am right now, I'm still more excited for Superman. Just because it is I mean, Fantastic Four is too, but Fantastic Four is just yet another, MCU movie. I mean, I'm hopeful that it's still going to be really good, but it's just another step, another addition to an existing universe. Superman is this fresh beginning, and the way that they've done, like, the Fantastic Four marketing has been good. The trailer looked great. The Superman marketing has been top notch.
Yeah, it was peak.
They're knocking it out of the ballpark, and as we start to get closer to July, they're going to really ramp up the press tour, and I just think that could be, and if it holds up to expectations, will be the movie of the summer. And I hate to pit the two against each other, obviously, because I think that I think and hope that both will be good. But as of now, and this can change, as of now, I still look at Superman as the blockbuster of the summer that's coming at us. I mean, James Gunn is just one of my favorite directors, especially in this comic book universe. And I just think that David Cornsweet looks great. Rachel Brosnahan looks great. I love a lot of the stuff they're showing us. And the trailers even invoke a little emotion, like they're chanting Superman, Superman, with like the kid putting up the flag. Like, it's just been so, like the Ice Palace, everything,
that's
like
the Fortress of Solitude.
Yes, the Fortress of Solitude. Like, it's looking like the Superman right off the comic pages.
James Gunn knows what he's doing.
That we have been dying for so long. So, I mean, I hate to pit the two against each other. Like I've said, I'm super duper excited for Fantastic Four. But right now, I'm still leaning my excitement a little more towards Superman.
But Sinners will be better than both of them. All right, here we go.
I don't doubt it. Okay. I don't doubt it.
We're going to start to end this episode. I think we should start to wrap it up. I just want to go through some announcements, and then if you want to talk a little bit about next episode, then we end off with Seesaw. How's that sound?
Yeah, we're just going to... so right now, Star Wars Celebration is going on in Tokyo. There's been a slew of announcements that have been coming out. Some of them are confirming rumors, some kind of unexpected things. We're really just going to name drop it for people who hadn't heard the announcements. Next week, we have a very special episode planned with our first two guests. That is the expectations right now. So a couple of very special guests.
Very
We're
special.
we're gonna really dive into a lot of Star Wars there. Obviously, for time purposes, we can't really talk a lot, but yeah, we're gonna rattle off a little bit of announcements.
Yeah. So Star Wars Celebration. This is what we heard is coming out for Star Wars. Ryan Gosling came out onto the stage and confirmed he's going to be the lead in a movie called Star Wars Starfighter. I believe that's a 2027 or 2026 release date. Did you catch that or no?
I think 7. I'm not
2027 release
sure.
date. The thing I'm most excited for from Star Wars Celebration is Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. That is an animated series following Darth Maul, and he's coming back. The man himself, Sam Witwer, is coming back to voice Darth Maul in Maul Shadow Lord. So that's gonna be a new animated series. I hope it's Clone Wars style. I wouldn't hate it if it was Rebel style, but that's my most hyped one. Hayden Christensen is confirmed to be returning for Ahsoka Season 2 as Anakin Skywalker. And something that I was very surprised by, I didn't know they would announce this like this. Rory McCann, he played the Hound in Game of Thrones. He is being confirmed as replacing Ray Stevenson as Baylan Skoll in Ahsoka Season 2. Ray Stevenson unfortunately passed away before right when Season 1 finished filming. So it's sad, but Rory McCann is a fantastic actor, and I think he will do the character justice. I think he will do Ray Stevenson justice. What are you excited about, Josh?
I'm most excited for the Maul series. Like I said, look, Ryan Gosling in Star Wars, directed by Sean Levy. We'll see. It's kind of a dumb name for a movie, Star Wars Starfighter.
Starfighter. Unless he's plays it's like Cars, but for Star Wars, like he plays a starfighter.
I don't know. Kind of a dumb name.
I don't know.
We'll see. That could be hit or miss. But the Maul show, very, very, very excited about it. Maul is one of the best characters in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. So,
and they did that through animation.
Yeah.
So now we're getting it animated, which is the best thing they could have possibly done.
Hayden Christensen, not really surprised. Not much else to say about it. For Baylan Skoll, I mean, obviously the loss of Ray Stevenson, I mean, he can't be replaced. There's no way to replace him. He was one of, if not the best part of that first season of Ahsoka.
My favorite part, yeah.
But if there's anyone who can do it, Rory, I think, can do it. And I saw the concept art with him as
he looks great.
Baylan, and he looks great. So, we'll dive into all that and the inevitable more announcements that come out of Star Wars Celebration in the coming days as we get close to May the 4th.
And Andor Season 2 is coming out very soon.
Yep, and we'll have plenty to talk about with Andor Season 2. Like we said, we'll have a couple special guests who love Star Wars just as much, if not more, than we do. So,
be on the lookout for next episode. It's going to be
on the lookout.
Banger.
Yeah.
Especially if you love Star Wars.
All right, well, there's no other way to end an episode of the Box Office Dynasty than Seesaw. I feel like I go first a lot with this, so I'm going to let you take the wheels this time.
Oh, you're such a gentleman. Thank you, sir. A movie that I saw recently for the first time is Coraline.
Really?
Have you ever seen Coraline?
Of course.
I've never seen Coraline in my life until my girlfriend had me watch it, and it was gas. Coraline is a good movie. I just wasn't interested in it. I don't know. It just wasn't appealing to me from the outside, and she showed me it. And I can't get that song that the dad sings out of my head. It's like Coraline or whatever it is. Like I can't even when he's. I guess I can't get it out of my head because I can't remember it now. Of course, the one I actually need to remember it, I can't remember it. It's like I'm your pal, whatever. It's just it was a good movie. It's funny you mentioned something I want to see for my Seesaw is Fruitvale Station. You mentioned it earlier. I want to watch anything Ryan Coogler related now. And this, I think, is his second highest rated movie after Sinners. Is Fruitvale Station. I know Michael B. Jordan is in it. I'm not really sure who else is in it, but it looks really good. And I'm gonna have to give Fruitvale Station a try after this masterpiece that was Sinners. Thank you, Ryan Coogler. Thank you, Ryan Coogler.
Thank you, Ryan. We love and appreciate you. You're
really
welcome on the podcast anytime.
Come on the pod. Next week we can talk Star Wars.
Yeah, that's who our special guest is, but we're not talking Sinners. We're talking Star Wars.
Yeah,
Did you see that Ryan Coogler said his next project is going to be a remake of the X-Files?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. That could be cool.
David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson.
I put my trust in him.
Anything Ryan Coogler does, I'm just, that's another IP thing. I do want to see more original content from him, but anything Coogler touches is gold. So, okay. Well, and Fruitville Station wasn't my choice for this week, but it would be one of them too. I put that on my Letterboxd watch list. Something that I saw this past week, I mentioned it in the box office rankings at the beginning of the episode, is Warfare. I saw the new Warfare movie, and that's when I alluded during Daredevil. I said, Michael Gandolfini, I'm going to come back to him. He's in this movie. He's pretty good. Joseph Quinn in this movie. Pretty good. So some people that we were talking about, I've seen some people talk online about war films, and we can, there's what was his name? Truffaut. He had this old guy who had this debate about the fact that there's no true anti-war film. That's a conversation for another day. And Warfare kind of falls within that, but I really like how technical and direct this movie is. That no one is painted heroically. You just put in a mission, in a place, and it's just nonstop horrific imagery and sounds and the sights and sounds of war. And the cast really buys into it, like Gandolfini and Quinn, and Will Poulter is in it, and a lot of people. Charles Melton, who was in May December, is in it. So
I heard it's insanely accurate too to how actually.
Yeah, well, it's based in. So it was co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza, who was in the Iraqi War over there in the Middle East in the 2000s, and this entire film is based off of their memory of this mission. Nothing else. It just came from memory.
And you didn't go deaf in the theater?
No, but you know what's funny? This is worth bringing up. So I went to go see it. I was really hungry. So I don't usually buy popcorn at the movies because I go to the movies so often and I don't want to keep spending money, and it's just, whatever. I was so hungry. So I bought myself a small popcorn as I went in, and I'm by myself. I was off work. So it was the middle of the day, and it was me and 4 other people in the theater. And, there's a lot of horrific things going on, i.e., IEDs exploding and different stuff. And in the little moments in between, because the sound design of this was otherworldly. It was so impressive. In the little moments of silence in between, people would hear me just going, hum, hum, on the popcorn. So after 20 minutes, I felt so awkward that I just put the popcorn down, and I was like, okay, I'll be quiet.
You're ruining the movie for people.
It just was not one of those movies to eat popcorn. It's one of those movies you don't get a snack for.
You have to starve.
It's only 96 minutes. You can starve for an hour and a half.
Yeah, you can make it.
So that was something that I saw. Something that I want to see is, actually, I saw the trailer for it recently, and a more extended trailer in the theater. It comes out in June. Mike Flanagan's new movie, The Life of Chuck. It stars Tom Hiddleston, and Mark Hamill is in it.
Matthew
and a
Lillard's
bunch of other
in it.
people. Matthew Lillard's in it. It looks, and a bunch of Flanagan's usual suspects that you see in his movies and shows. Mike Flanagan is one of my favorite directors ever, of anything. Hill House is so good. Bly Manor is so good. Midnight Mass is so good. Fall of the House of Usher is so good. This guy and his ability to mix horror and emotion and combine the two. We talked a little bit about Coogler doing it with Sinners, and Flanagan is capable of it himself, and it's just so impressive. And I'm so excited for The Life of Chuck. It's not so much horror. It's the movie's the story of a guy's life told backwards. And I'm just so interested. I want to see Tom Hiddleston in a leading film role. I want to see him on an Oscar campaign. I love Tom Hiddleston.
I would like to see
that. So
that.
I'm very excited. It comes out in June. That is definitely one of my more anticipated films. So that is my C of my Seesaw.
Well, there we have it, folks. Seesaw concluded. And I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, we really have something special in the works.
So we will be in person next week. We will be live. We will be with very special guests. If you're watching this and you made it this far, just click that follow button, click that like button wherever you're watching it, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. It helps us out. It helps us make this. And we love you guys. If you're watching this and you got this far and you're with us on this journey, we love you, and we're happy you're listening with us.
Please keep sharing with your friends and film lovers. Get the word out there. We put in a lot of work. We do it because we love doing this, and we love sharing film news and thoughts and opinions, and television too, all of that with you. And we always want to hear your thoughts. So thank you for all your support. Keep listening, keep loving, and until next week.
We'll see you next week.
See you, folks.
Peace.